Good evening, everyone, and welcome to November's edition of Family Law Uncorked, or as we're going to call it this month for November, Untapped. I am Jen Bordeaux, the Director of Public Relations with New Direction Family Law, and I am joined here with Dr. Clint of Peak Chiropractic, and we're going to talk a little bit about health and wellness and stress and de-stressing today. But first, Clint, if you will, just tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do.
Well, thank you for having me, first of all.
Of course.
As Jen said, Dr. Clint with Peak Chiropractic and Functional Wellness. My office is a little different than most chiropractic offices. We focus a lot more on soft tissue work, corrective exercise, movement, keeping people in activities such as sports or whether they're working out or just trying to move better, hiking, whatever the case may be. The end goal is just to get people moving well and functioning well. We do a lot with exercise and cupping, taping, scraping, all the fun new stuff. So if you have any questions on that, please let me know.
Awesome. Personally, just side note, cupping, miracle worker, I swear.
It's great.
And scraping, it's all phenomenal, as well as chiropractic care in general. So we are in November, as you all are aware, which means that Thanksgiving is only a few weeks away, even though it's later in November this year. And it will be quickly followed by Christmas and New Year's. So the holidays are, a lot of times, it's a time of merriment and time with your family and awesome good food that you try to stay away from the rest of the year, that you make an excuse for because it's just the holidays. And it's supposed to be a really good time. And a lot of times it is. However, there is a level or an element of stress to the holidays. You know, who's going to travel to whose house, or who's going to host, or who's going to cook? Do we have enough food for everyone? Did I buy gifts for everyone? Are we going to step on anybody's toes? So there is an element of stress to that. And then insert our area of work, family law, and it can be extremely stressful if you are going through a separation or divorce, especially if it's just been initiated, or you're still just going, through the process of figuring all that out and navigating that situation. Or maybe this is going to be the first time and for the holidays, if you have children, that you're going to be sharing custody during the holidays. That adds just a whole nother level of stress to the holiday season, and sometimes can make you not look forward to the holidays, or you've got to figure out new traditions or how all that's going to work. And so a lot of times with stress, we think about how we're so flighty and, our minds just won't shut off and we're all over the place and we can't seem to calm down or we can't sleep or something. But stress, after talking with Clint for a little while, stress can really affect you physically as well. So we want to talk a little bit about that, as well as maybe how to combat some of those things. So Dr. Clint, if you will, how does stress physically affect someone?
Well, first of all, let's just throw it out there that stress is not a bad thing. A lot of people look at it as a bad word, but it's not. Stress is a good thing. It helps with our fight or flight reflex, gets us moving. Our bodies are made to take on stressors and adapt to those stressors. However, just like anything, too much of one thing is a bad thing. The effects of long-term stress on your body can vary widely, but mainly you're looking at things like decreased energy, decreased digestive capabilities, poor performance at work, poor mind, nutrition, everything, poor thyroid function, decreased immune system. So if we're already talking about going into the holidays where, like Jen mentioned, food choices aren't always the best right now, if you're already combating that with poor digestion and poor immune system, that can just cascade into a lot of bad things. So the biggest things to worry about with chronic stress, really, especially nowadays, are in this time frame, is poor digestion and poor immune function.
Okay. Yeah. So it doesn't keep those you don't think about. I mean, if you're stressed, and again, I like Clint's point too, that some stress is good for you. But whenever we're in that constant state of stress and separation, or if you're going through separation, you have that anxiety, then it starts to trickle into other things. You know, maybe you're not even caring about your nutrition, or you're not eating at all, or maybe you're overindulging in alcohol or other substances. So with these physical effects of stress, there's been lots of studies about not getting any sleep and how that can negatively affect you as well. And if you're not getting sleep because you're so stressed, then it's just a cyclical effect. So then how do we, especially in the time of the holidays, just in general, but also in the time of the holidays, how do we manage that stress? What are your suggestions there?
Well, it's great you bring up sleep. We all know the importance of sleep, but if you are in that constant state of stress and your adrenals are kicking in all of the time and your fight or flight's going, that's obviously going to affect your sleep, and it's going to make it harder for you to sleep. But taking that back a step, sleep is very important. So finding a way to sleep well would be great. There's tons of ways to do it. Avoiding reading or avoiding a lot of physical activity before bed is a good way. There's things like natural supplements, essential oils, however you can find to really help you to sleep. Definitely do that, because sleep is very important. Another big thing to touch on, especially from my point of view, is the movement side. There's been tons of studies out there that show exercise and movement release the endorphins that help you combat stress. So that will naturally improve your mood, improve your energy levels, decrease your stress just from movement. So on top of moving well, there's other benefits to it, such as joining a fitness club or a gym or something. So build that community. If you are going through a separation type event, and you do need that community, that may be a great way to kind of get back into that and build a new community that's very helpful for you.
And exercising is going to probably help you sleep better as well.
It will, absolutely. Yeah, burn some of that energy. Self-care is another huge one, and with self-care, you really have to decide what's your version of self-care. For some, it's chiropractic. For some, it's yoga. For some people, it's going on a hike and staring at trees or birds or whatever the case may be, reading a book, finding out what's best for you from that standpoint. We all kind of have a good idea of what is good for us, but tons of studies out there about just being out in nature, helping you to neutralize yourself and level out and kind of bring all those levels to a good place. Supplementation is great. We're all naturally, just with our society, very low in vitamin D, so getting outside will help with that, but also supplementation is a good way. There's also great supplements out there for adrenal function, so if you are chronically stressed all the time and putting that stress on your adrenal system, a lot of us need kind of that external source to rebuild that. And then another big thing is just talk to somebody about it. Counseling for some people, might be a bad word, but counseling is very much not a bad word. We have a stigma for it, unfortunately. In our society, but just talking to somebody is huge. Find a life coach, find a counselor, just find a friend or family member and just talk about it.
Yeah. That we're at New Direction. We're huge proponents of counselors. We recommend pretty much everyone that comes in to see us has some course of action, whether it's during the initial consultation or through the life of their work with us, to see a mental health professional, because you may not know what you're going to talk about or what you're going to say or how to express yourself, but you'd be surprised. You get in that room and it's an unbiased third party,
right.
And they can be perspective and changers and really help you work through everything. And it's a reserved, confidential time just for you to be able to express yourself. And it may sound funny, like, oh, how is that going to help me? But trust us, it really, really does. It really does. So definitely jump on that train with the mental health professionals to help you out with self-care as well.
Another big one too is just with the supplementation. Or, if you're into essential oils, supplements, whatever the case may be, just making sure you're getting it from a very reliable source. A lot of our retail companies out there, Whole Foods, Target, etc., there's not a lot of regulation on that. I love those stores, but...
So no Amazon then?
Amazon can be a very bad thing at times. There have been a lot of cases where people will buy the good stuff and empty it, refill it with bad stuff, and then resell it. Most of the high-level like supplements or oils or things that you're putting into your body, if it's a really good company, typically you have to get it from a medical professional or from them directly. They don't allow you to do resales, so any kind of big box store or online, if you're buying it online, it's probably not from a good source, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But just taking the mentality of anything you put in your body, know where it's coming from. Same with cleaners, household stuff. If you're already fighting chronic stress, whether it's separation or work or whatever the case may be, if you're also adding in external stressors from chemicals or processed foods, things like that, that can also build into a catastrophic issue. So improving your clean living will always almost help with combating your stress as well. You don't want to do both. You don't want to have a bunch of stress from work or life and then also external chemical stress.
Yeah. Well, and you bring up a good point too, as far as, let's say you are going through separation or divorce, that doesn't mean that you can stop working.
Right.
Or that the other normal, so to speak, stressors that you have that everyone comes across in everyday life, if something happens to your car, because car trouble's the worst, or something at work, you got a big project at work or something, or maybe a kid gets sick, and so now we've got to navigate, work out all of that with work. So that on top of adding a major life event change like separation or divorce can just compound all of that stress. So even more so to bring in the importance of look at those things, the healthy living, and whether, what's your advice on with those things? If someone's not used to supplements or essential oils, or, making sure they make the time for the movement, for those endorphins or the self-care, taking on all of that at once might seem like a lot for somebody.
Right.
So would you recommend kind of pick one, whether it's movement or, whatever it is, to kind of start there? Because when you're super stressed out, the last thing you want to do is overwhelm yourself even more with, let me do all this at once. So. Right.
I think a lot of it boils around getting the right people in your life as well. So finding a good counselor, life coach, nutritionist, chiropractor, whatever the case may be. Start somewhere and build your team, so to speak. Because, you wouldn't hire an electrician to do your plumbing necessarily. Right. So finding that expert in that field and getting the help that you need from them is pretty huge. In my family, my wife's a chiropractor too. She loves oils, supplements just as much as I do. We have done a ton of research on who the good companies are for this or that. So we would be totally happy to help with any of those questions. But there's people all over Raleigh. Raleigh's very holistic. So you can find a great massage therapist or PT, whatever the case may be, and they probably know somebody that can help you to navigate to the next level. So like you said, start somewhere. Probably if I could be biased, I'd say start with your self-care, and find a good yoga studio or chiropractor or massage, whatever the case may be, and then maybe build into the more healthy lifestyle dependent on what stage you're in. Some people are already super healthy with that stuff.
Yeah.
So kind of figuring out what your navigation is pretty important, but just that first step is big. Start somewhere and build.
Yeah, and you may find that once you start with one thing, whether if you do start with self-care, let's say that's with a mental health provider, so to speak, then once you start getting into that and you start feeling the positive effects and start alleviating some of that stress, then it opens you up, mentally and emotionally, to then start exploring some of these other ways of self-care and healthy living to help de-stress. It may be a little tough during the holidays if we're over at family and friends and celebrating, but small things. It doesn't have to be a big, huge movement. One small thing can make the difference. So all of these great points of helping to manage stress. So let's focus on you for a minute. So as the chiropractor, and you mentioned the cupping and the scraping, and being a good resource for good companies for oils and supplements. If somebody comes into your office though and they're just super stressed, how does Peak Chiropractic specifically help with that? I'm gonna guess it's around the movement piece.
The movement's a big part of it. Getting people moving and moving well is kind of the mantra of the business. But just from a chiropractic standpoint, the chiropractic adjustment itself is really good for internal function. It boosts your immune system. It gets your blood flowing. There's so many different benefits. I could spend hours talking about it. But it combats the stress big time just from, like I said, boosting immune system and then getting internal functions just kind of spiked. So if you're starting to get a cold, or if you are starting to feel depressed, whatever the case may be, if you have poor digestion, chiropractic itself is good for just upping your body's internal functions. So from that standpoint, I mean, it's a great tool to use. But then on the other standpoint, from my office perspective, would be soft tissue work for decreasing muscle tension. A lot of us end up, when we're stressed, we get into this position. We're also working like this all day long on keyboards and stuff like that. So a big part of what we do is helping to get your posture corrected, get your muscle tone decreased, and just get you into a better overall functioning position. So from that standpoint, we could also start talking and having those conversations about nutrition and finding people to fit your team for what you need from there. Chiropractic is very intimate and very personal, so we always have those conversations, like what are your goals, what do you need right now? It may not be an adjustment, it may just be that you need some mental health, so let's get you where you need to get to. Most people are probably going to get adjusted down unless they don't need it. But that's a big part of what we like to focus on. Is it's not all about chiropractic and it's not all about movement. So we've spent a lot of time in our office building a good team of referral partners in Raleigh. So we can definitely go that route as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
With the adjustment, so I have to ask a couple of fun questions.
All right.
One, I was actually talking to one of my coworkers today, and mentioned that you and I were doing this Facebook Live, and that you were a chiropractor and everything, and so and she was just like, "Oh, I've always wanted to go, and I'm just so afraid the whole neck popping thing freaks me out." So how do you combat that with people? Because I'm sure she's not the only one that comes in and is like, "No, you can't pop my neck. It's going to freak me out. You're going to break my neck."
The easiest explanation of that is, I mean, think about your nervous system, your spinal cord, your brain. It's the most important part of your body. It runs everything in your body. Without it, we would be nothing. So why would we have a structure supporting and surrounding that would be weak enough to hurt somebody just by adjusting their neck? There are so many tendons and muscles and ligaments around that structure that it would be impossible to really snap somebody's neck like you see in all the action movies. Like, you can't actually do that.
Okay, so no John-Claude Van Damme's or something just walk around just
no, it looks great on
necks.
TV,
yeah.
but
I just dated myself too by referencing
no,
him.
I love him.
Okay.
But the other part of that too is there's been so many studies. Just statistically, you have more of a chance of injuring your neck or your spinal cord backing out of your driveway than you do going to a chiropractic office.
Well, I mean, let's hope so.
Right. Yeah, we spend a lot of time training on the right way to do things and avoiding the wrong ways. So it is very, very safe. You can see it in our malpractice. Our malpractice is pretty cheap compared to a lot of other healthcare industries, just because it has been proven to be very safe. So.
And it feels really good. I've had it done before, and it's so amazing. Like, you just sit a little straighter, feel a little taller, less tension and stuff. Okay, so then the other fun questions, because sure there are other people out there that were like me growing up, that if you popped your knuckles or you popped your back yourself, because I always have this, you stretch after a workout or something and twist your spine and it pops, or your neck or whatever, that you, growing up, you might have somebody say, oh, stop popping your knuckles, you're going to give yourself arthritis or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Is that true?
No, not so much. The knuckle arthritis myth has been debunked for the most part. On that note, though, when you're talking about your spine, it is bad. If you envision your vertebrae stacked on top of each other, right? Mm-hmm. Say you've got a section that's not moving the way that it's supposed to. That's considered a chiropractic subluxation. It's not moving perfectly, but the spots above and below that are moving just fine. So when you see somebody that grabs their neck and rips it to the side, or grabs their chair and twists, you can't get a specific enough force into that area that needs it. Mm-hmm. So you're adjusting a section above or below it, which is, like I said, it's already moving just fine. So if you're doing that a lot over time, you're causing hypermobility in that area, which will then cause more problems down the road. A lot of laxity in your ligaments and stuff like that.
Okay.
So all you're doing is, you're just releasing endorphins, and you feel great for 20 minutes.
It feels better, yeah.
And then it comes right back.
So what about if you're on, like a foam roller? Like if you do on your back and you feel like a couple little pops.
Yes.
Basically the same thing, or
it's not the same.
Okay.
The popping is just gases releasing.
Okay.
So that's just your body is naturally moving at that point. You may be, forcing things a little bit, foam rolling, but you're not grabbing something and forcing it to where you're really overdoing it. You're naturally always going to pop a little bit, stretching or foam rolling or
especially
moving.
The older you get.
And that's fine, but the problem comes when you're forcing it a lot over a long period of time. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Well, Clint, if somebody needs to reach out to you, has follow-up questions, wants to find out about awesome supplements, recommendations, or essential oil recommendations, or is also interested in coming to get their neck popped the right way, how do they get in touch with you?
Definitely feel free to go to the website. It's peakchiropracticnc.com. There's links on there. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Instagram's probably our biggest social media at the moment. Starting to post a lot of just health tips, and eventually we'll be putting movement videos and stuff out there that are, just quick, easy tips and wellness tricks. But that's Instagram is peak.chiropractic. Facebook is Peak Chiropractic NC. So feel free to follow. We have a newsletter link on the webpage as well, so we can throw out some more information about supplements or oils or whatever people are interested in. So feel free to call, text, email, social media, shoot some questions over, and we'd love to have you in the office and
awesome.
Look into whatever you need.
And it's not located in Apex.
It's not, yeah.
The first time I met Clint and saw that it was Peak Chiropractic, I was like, oh, you in Apex? Yeah, the Peak City. And he's not originally from North Carolina, so he wasn't aware of the Peak City being Apex. So it is in Raleigh, over off of Six Forks.
Right, about a mile south of North Hills.
Yeah, definitely. So you guys take care of yourself for the holidays. They will be here before we know it. Only a few weeks away. Thank you for watching this evening. Next month in early December, our topic is going to be Give the Gift of Understanding. We're actually going to be talking to a mental health professional about how to kind of the understanding behind leaving a dish in the sink isn't actually why she's mad at you, kind of thing. Like helping. She works with men a lot to help them understand the inner workings of the female mind. So bless her, right? So make sure to tune in for that. And thank you for tuning in tonight. If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out to us. You can get us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, contact us on our website, call the office, whatever it may be. If you have any follow-up questions for Dr. Clint here and you can't read or don't get his contact information for whatever reason, you can reach out to us too, and we will make sure to put you in contact with him. So again, I'm Jen Bordeaux with New Direction Family Law. This is Dr. Clint Sellers with Peak Chiropractic, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you next month.